For the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you a bit of a review video on a sort of awning from Isabella, or actually it's branded Ventura. So with me here today I've got the Ventura Dove. The Ventura Dove is an inflatable awning that is designed that can go on a caravan or also a motorhome, so it's quite nice and versatile. So you can get, even if you change your vehicle, you can also carry it along with that, and it's got a different range of fitment heights as well. So through this video we kind of go through all the features. It's worth mentioning that as you see it here, as I'm underneath it, we've got the optional extras of the Awnings and also the additional sun canopy you can add to it. So again, your main body is going to be here. It's basically a different kind of widths option. So you've got an option of a 350, which is what we've got here, so 350 centimeters, or you've got the 400 as well. So you can pick and choose how big or how small you want it to be. It's always worth bearing in mind that if you are looking to put on a motorhome, you have got some external wings to take into consideration. So really, if you've got, say, a 4-meter wind out, really the 350 is good where you need to be. Whereas you've got, say, like a 4.5 or even probably a 4.4 wind out, you can get away with a 400, unless your ends are, the bottoms are uncapped, and then you can happily sort of slide it out. In terms of its sort of depth, it's basically a standard 2.5 meter deep, so it's a good sort of size, but because you've got a flat front panel like that, it does feel a bit more roomier inside of it itself. What sort of Isabella or Ventura use is it's basically a coated polyester material, so it's a really nice strong fabric. It's actually something they use on their seasonal use, so they do an awning in poled version, like a full awning, and it's, you can put up all year long. People in Holland pretty much use this as like a price pointed seasonal. Now the joys of this actually is because it's Isabella in terms of workmanship, but what is used essentially is the fabrics of kind of the Ventura. So you get almost the best of both worlds. That way it's not necessarily the same sort of price you see with Isabella. It's more kind of in that middle market, so sort of competes more with the Dreamers of the likes, or even kind of the Domestics and sort of Touters. So it's in that same sort of ballpark. Conventional kind of design, it's sort of a slightly modern twist, but a French. So you've got essentially one inflation point that will pump up the actual whole awning itself. So located down here, easy accessible. You get a manual pump supplied with it as well, so very quick, simple and easy to pitch. And you can, with this extra tab, it's very easy to get access to that. You're not having to try and get through a little flap, little nice and neat and Velcro. The main thing I said is sort of talking about the workmanship. The material actually really is still a really decent spec. It's not quite on the same hierarchy as kind of Isabella, but in comparison to the rest of the market, it's still probably better, if not, just as good. What we find actually is they still go through the same dyeing process they use with kind of Isabella's materials, so essentially means you get a really great colour retention. So by dyeing the thread before it's woven into kind of the fabric, you get a more kind of a carrot scenario rather than the radish. Now what I mean by this is essentially when you cut a carrot in half, the colour's all the way through, where if you cut a radish, you have the colour on the outside and that sort of pure white on the inside. This is important because essentially as the life of a product goes on and as it's exposed to more UV sunlight, it strips away that outer coating. So that's where you find some other brands, for example, look more tired and faded after maybe a year or two's use, and you can really see the fade. Whereas this, again, it's going to look sharper for longer, really. The Awnings itself can go on either side, so it's really quite nice and easily. All of the panels completely zip out and remove. So the joys of that is, again, you can have it almost like a glorified gazebo. And when we can see probably slightly on the side here, it's almost like kind of a lacing kind of part there as well. So the joys of kind of the lacing is that you can expand and contract the height range. So if you wanted to fit sort of a taller vehicle, so in terms of it'll fit from a 245, which is kind of like your sort of standard caravan, up to sort of 275, which is going to pretty much cover most motorhomes or kind of sliding panel vans as well, which works nicely as well. And what you can do is it's like a shoelace, basically almost like a runner. You can pull it out and it'll expand and take up that little gap, and we'll look a bit more up close and personal to that bit later on. You've still got all the key kind of Isabella kind of feels of it, so things like the tooth counted zips. So again, they make sure that every single panel is exactly to the right size. You've got a spiral chain zip, so it means that, for example, when you go around the corners, even when you've got tension points, it's much more of a smooth action, so it glides a lot easier. And because you've got essentially 4 zip pullers on a panel, you can create a little veranda quite nice and neatly with that as well. In the front panels, as you can see here, we've got almost like a big window. and then a window or a partial door. Now, because these panels are interchangeable, you can obviously reposition that, so it means you can move the door from being from here directly to here as well. In terms of the way it's physically made, into like the seams and that sort of stuff, it's the same principle. So what you've got is a triple folded and double stitched seams in all the roof sections, and then in the sides it's kind of interlocked and again stitched as well. So it's a really thorough affair. And what you find is actually, which you know with Isabella, is it stands the test of time. Really nice, really robustly made, and even just feeling the kind of the quality and the workmanship of how it puts together is really brilliant. Along the bottom, we've always got PVC mud skirts as well, so it means easy to clean and again durable. You've got the Isofix little elastic points to get additional tension, so the joy is it can easily be pegged and easily replaced if need be, and it's got a little bit of give to it. So essentially, in those windier conditions, you've got a little bit more play rather than having something just constantly getting battered. So again, it's something they use on kind of their high-end caravan awnings. So it's why not use that same sort of technology in kind of this sort of porch awning as well. Another point to mention is the fact that also you've got extra tie points located on here as well. So if you want to put a bit more guide points onto it, you can more than happily do so. As mentioned previously, the canopy is an optional extra, so there is a small little canopy built onto the dove itself as standard, but only comes out about yay big. With obviously the additional canopy you can buy, and you've got these poles included as well, so that works really nicely. Big ventilation point located at the top here, again to help airflow, because it's not necessarily a breathable material, most like other manufacturers. It's crucial to have ventilation when you can. So what you've got is obviously a nice big vent panel, and on the side panels we've also got vent points as well. Sorry, I'm rambling on a little bit. The Awnings itself is basically a physical pole, and we'll have a look at that in a bit later on, but even then you've got a really nice big mesh window located in the back, and then obviously a privacy curtain, and you've got essentially two of those, one mesh, one normal PVC, so you've got vision or visibility. There's an extra bedroom you can buy to go in there if you want to sleep some people in there, and as previously mentioned, it can fit on either this side or alternatively the other side, depending on how you want your setup to be. What we'll do, let's actually go inside the Dove and talk through a load more features that it does have to offer. So now inside Dove, you can probably appreciate the kind of the overall size you've got in here. Like I said, because even though it's the smaller model in the 350, it's still an ample amount of space in here, especially that front panel helps you to get all the furniture nice and close to the very front of the panel, and you've still got enough room for sort of table and chair set, so it does feel quite kind of cozy in here as well. Obviously the 400 being just a bit wider, you get an extra ½ meter, so that's really going to make a nice bit of difference. The main tube which inflates, I'll say it's kind of one point which inflates the whole main body. There is actually an additional bracer you put in the central part which you inflate individually, but it's not really much in terms of that really, so you can just velcro that in quite nice and neatly. As you see situated here, we've actually got the roof liner, which you can buy as an optional extra. So again, helps just to help reduce condensation, get it a bit of a warmer, so you've got that kind of like double glazing kind of effect. So it creates a pocket of air, so it means you get to catch all the drips and the condensation, but more importantly, it's going to just insulate the whole main body a little bit more. As you can see, we've got the Awnings on the side, and we'll pan around a bit later on to show you kind of the side panels, how it works. So the Awnings being an optional extra is really quite nice. One kind of sort of aluminium pole that just literally velcros in place. You can get a good bit of tension. You've actually got a solid PVC ground sheet in this as well, and you can buy an inner bedroom additionally if you wanted to. Now, what you can do is actually the original panel does sort of situate itself in here. So, well, actually, I don't think you can buy an inner, actually, forget that. But you by re-zipping the panel back onto it, that then creates kind of that sort of privacy. Obviously, with the aforementioned ventilation points, as we can see on the outside, that works really quite nicely as well. Headroom height around here is pretty decent. I mean, I'm about 6'2". I can stand up pretty much underneath this beam in the corner, and of course the front panels, that works really quite nicely. The roofline does make it feel a little bit lower than actually it really is. When you come into talking about attaching it to the vehicle, obviously with the beading that you have pre-stitched on, you've got a 6mm and also a 4mm, so that'll fit into a wind out or into a normal kind of Caravan C-rail as well. So you've got both options available. In terms of fitting it against the side, what you have is this kind of adjustment system. So you've got Velcro points as well to adapt the height on the inside, and there's also a webbing strap on the outside which you can just sort of tinker up and tension, very similar to like a driveway awning in a way, But to get the seal, you get these little kind of suction points onto the vehicle just to get it nice and tight against it as well. So again, that's a really nice little option. Curtains come supplied with the awning itself, and it comes the same kind of Isabella kind of feel, where the curtains are sort of on runners, so you can just take the curtains on and off quite neat, happily, and very easy to kind of clean. And again, you can choose whether you want the pattern on the inside or the out, depending on which way you kind of clip the thing. And there's those little fine details that make a difference. Ties located on the bottom as well, you can just kind of tie up to keep it all looking kind of very sort of homely. But in terms of, again, we talked about ventilation, nice big vent panel at the top. You have basically one panel with side wet mesh, guess where is that, on that side, and then obviously a solid panel with a window. And what you find again is there's a half, sort of, I would say like a 70-30, so 70% window, 30% door. And again, you can interchange the panels, so if you wanted to rechange where the door is located, i.e. if you wanted the door at the front, you can basically revert them around opposite, otherwise your door position will be back here, which is a good thing to change the panels over. The reason is, if you had a step coming out, you're not suddenly coming out the step and straight out the door. So again, that's a really nice little kind of thing they do think about. A range of floorings, there's no actual sewn in ground sheet for the section, so it's quite nice in that sense. So you can buy additional floorings that you can put down here. Obviously there's a range of kind of like bowl-on carpets that kind of Isabella do. You can also get sort of other versions as well. Like I say, it's just the feel of it in general I really do like. I'm pretty sure as well you get a veranda pole included as standard, so they've got this new kind of pockets located in the front panel, so you can just drop that front panel down nice and neat. I believe it is just essentially a pole rather than a kind of air tube. But it's the feel, the fabric, the way it looks, the material, and that's the thing. It's one of those things when you, until you see it in the flesh, and it's certainly a model actually we're going to have up on our new Isabella showroom at our shop, to sort of really get the feel of it. And you can get a feel of the fabric, the way the material is woven, the stitching quality. It's all these little things that do make it up. And apart from the name, you know, essentially being Ventura, really is an Isabella product. It's just not in that same level Isabella fabric that we kind of know and love. But let's pick the camera up, actually have a bit more of a wander around and get a bit more familiar with it all. So the first thing we're going to point to actually is kind of the attachments. So when we're looking up here, you can see almost the little string part. So that can basically adjust down and give you that gap. So you have this little bit of funnel, and you can see you've got a webbing strap located here as well. So that gives the tension up and down. Like I say, you've got a little wing there, so that's the one thing you've got to be kind of careful of if you have got like a sort of a 4-meter awning that really the 50 is better off, because you can't really sort of poke that out too much. The panel, which I've actually kind of folded down, you can see it actually has a full kind of mesh part to it. They didn't check it away. There you go. So you've got a sort of door panel there. I've poorly done it. And then you've got the previously window. So you've got a nice real thorough fix. And you've got zips running down the side itself, and then a toggle point in the middle. What that's going to do is just kind of keep it all nicely at bay. But you, of course, like I said, you can completely remove that panel, open it up, so it almost becomes a bit like a gazebo. You've got extra points located here for kind of Isabella's Typhoon straps, so that's going to give it a bit more additional strength. I would highly recommend that really if you are looking to purchase it. There are two sort of inflation-deflation points, so you've got another one located here, so you can e-flame from either side. And one of the benefits of it as well actually is that when it comes to packing it away, at least then you know you've got it's going to be easier to pack away as you've got 2 points for the air to escape. I think overall it looks really quite sharp, and like I said, with the kind of canopy as we've got it on, as we see. Again, I think that works really quite nice and detailed. I'll come around the back of the canopy. But you can see how that roof line, so it's got like a slight curvature of the beam, so all the water runs off really quite nice. A big nice foam pad located at the back again to try and get that seal against it, and you've still got the same kind of panelling and fixation points that run as you would kind of expect. As we kind of come in it, like I said, this being a smaller model, but still you create that really nice home away from home. Like I said, enough room for the sort of furnitures, and even you're still further enough away from your door that you can happily get in and out as you see fit. Curtain points, as previously mentioned. So we've got little points, you just basically untuck the panel. So you've got little sliders, and it just pops back in the slider. easy if I do it not looking at the camera. And also, like I said, there's oversized zips that work really quite nicely. Roof liner, as we can see, located all in there. And then we've got even things, like I said, the suction points on the side, the connection point on the end, and you've got an extra bit of fabric, kind of the fold of the fabric, sorry, is there. So when you've got, it looks, even when you're on the lowest setting for a Caravan, it still looks really quite nice and sharp. All of the reinforced points, so every single point that's pegging point is sort of kite stitch. That's probably the strongest stitch you can go for. And again, that PVC skirt on the bottom works really nicely. And again, the oversized zips are also a big help. And you've got the adjustment on the pole in for kind of the annex side, so creates a whole lot of space. And you know, there's no reason you can't have two annexes on it if you really wanted to. But I think all in all, especially how it's kind of set up here, it really looks the part. And especially if you, so I think for the price you pay, for the quality of the workmanship and the stitching, and you know, everything you kind of have, I generally really do like this. I mean, I'm definitely a big fan of kind of Isabella generally, because I think just the workmanship that you get with the products and the way they make things, and also the kind of their ethos with kind of after sales, if there's any issues, everything like that. Generally, it's a support network you get, you know. I think you are paying a little bit more, but for me, I can see the value of where you're putting it. If you look at the workmanship of how it's put together in comparison to many other brands, I think when you get to the nitty-gritty details, really you do see the benefits and where the extra money goes. So, you know, you pay for what you get from anyways. For more information, by all means, check the link below this video. Take you through to our website. We have all the information on sort of pitch, sort of pack sizes, floor dimensions, individual features all listed out for you, so you can go into more detail there quite happily. But of course, we always love to hear from you as well. So let us know what you think of the kind of Dove, also with the optional extras and things like that as well. And of course, we have all the latest prices on our website. And also, like I said, we'll have one on display at our showroom, so you can always welcome to pop in, see what it's like, and see what you think yourself. But apart from that, that's our video review on the Ventura Dove Air in the 350 with me today, and of course also the 400.